All right. The boys are back. It's very exciting. Very exciting. James, how are you? It's been a long off season without you to talk some football.
I'm pretty good, and I'm actually on a computer for once. It's pretty cool, you know.
You got a laptop?
This is just my work laptop.
Work laptop. We won't tell anyone. So what we're going to be doing today is a mock draft, which we have not done all off season. We've sent each other mock drafts via text message. We did it on Friday, but today will be a collective mock. We're going to play off each other. James, I'm going to give you the odds. I'll take the evens. That way we're picking for each other's team.
Cool. It's funny how that's worked out like 4 years in a row.
It really has. And even when they haven't, I feel like we're just like, okay, you take my pick and I'll take yours.
Yeah, you always take your team's pick.
So let's go ahead and get started. Number one overall pick, the Chicago Bears. I feel pretty good about where you're going with this. Oh, I have the mock draft simulator up. That way we don't have any mistakes.
And also, I mean, yes, thank you for doing that, because I feel like last time we were kind of like, we got to like the 20s and we didn't really know what we were doing. First of all, this is the most I've liked a mock draft that I've made in years. And like, I feel like we've been pretty good on the mock drafts. You kicked my ass last year, but before that, I think I had
I don't remember what we finished last year, but yeah, I mean,
you beat me last year. Good.
I did.
You beat my ass. Because I remember, I think I jumped out to a lead, and I don't think I got another one right. Is what happened.
You had, I think, C.J. Stroud too, and I did not. Maybe even Will Anderson to the Texans, but later on.
Yeah,
and I was like, well, that's
I think that is what happened. Yeah, and like, dude, after like pick, I don't know. I think my last correct pick was like 9, and I didn't get another one. So. And
then I know for sure that I tied it up somewhere, and then I got the Chargers right because they took Quentin Johnston, and I remembered saying, I'm like, dude, I just took the lead on this sucker.
Yep.
And then I got it for sure. The one that put me over the top, like it was over, was Mozzie Smith at 27 to Dallas.
That was a good call, first of all. But it is crazy because we looked at it. I mean, I'm sure that's not your final mock draft, but like our mock drafts look pretty similar right now. So
they do. So number one overall pick,
Caleb Williams. I mean, I think it's an easy pick. Like, honestly, like, I kind of for a while was saying he's an overrated prospect in the sense that I don't think he's generational, just because I feel like, and this is just, I haven't watched film or anything, but just feel like a lot of the things that I see that he does well is off script. And it's great that you can do that, but that can't be the only thing you can do. So I want to see how he kind of plays in the pocket a little more in the NFL. But he is athletic. He has a fucking laser beam for an arm. I think it's an easy pick because there's not really any projection there. I hate the term high floor player because you see Middlecoff says there's no such thing, but I do think he's a high floor player. I don't think he'll bust, if anything. You know what I mean?
I think he'll come in and be a legitimate starter. Now, how good will he be? I don't know.
And listen, I mean, I think they have to fix that offensive coaching staff over there, which they've tried to a little bit this offseason, but I don't think they should have fired Eberflus. It's like bring in a whole new regime. Let's start fresh, because they're going to fire him at the end of this year, in my opinion. Unless they could win like 10 games and keep him, but I think if they win less than 8 games, sorry to get off on a tangent, but I think if they win less than 8 games, he's out. So
probably. And I don't even think he's a bad head coach. He did some good things.
No. It's just he's not right for Caleb, and it's like you don't want to have a situation where like I'll compare like the Trevor Lawrence situation where like you have this generational prospect who shouldn't miss, and then he gets Urban Meyer and they win one game from this guy. Zero game when he was the coach, did they? So that's what I hope doesn't happen. I'm coming around on him. I actually didn't like him for a while. I'm kind of liking him a little bit. I think he's like interviewed well. Like a lot of the coaches are saying he's all about football. I dig that, so I like it.
Well, it's cooled off quite a bit on the like there was a time there where it seemed like he was a head case. There were some rumors where he wasn't going number 1 overall, which I always thought was kind of stupid.
And to be honest, none of that was ever like, I don't think that was ever proven. I think that was just like a rumor because, Schefter or nobody ever said, like, I'm not going to the Bears. And obviously it's not true because he's going to the Bears. Yeah. So I feel like somebody kind of threw that out there, and I feel like that never
I don't know how that started. I don't know if it was someone in his own camp that he had to shut up. I don't know. Yeah. I know his dad's pretty vocal. I'm not blaming his dad, though. But I like Caleb Williams. I don't think he's a character problem.
No, me neither. And I think, dude, that's a good-ass situation. You have a safety blanket in Keenan Allen. You have a decent tight end in Kmet. Who did they just
DJ
get at
Moore.
receiver? Who?
DJ Moore.
Yeah, DJ Moore, obviously. And they're probably going to go wide receiver at 9. Yeah, maybe O-line, but I could see them. We're going to get into that, so I won't get into it. But yeah, sorry to spend so much time on like a lock.
No, I'm good with it because we haven't talked draft at all. I'm good with spending a few minutes talking about quarterbacks because we did that a lot last year, not at all so far this year. So I'm high on Caleb Williams. I mean, he's QB1 for me. That's shouldn't be a surprise.
Of course.
He's not very tall. He's got girth though, big arm.
He kind of reminds me of is Rodgers. They have similar body style. They're both, 6'2", kind of like wrist flick. They're both good athletes enough to, but they're not Lamar or Josh Allen or something straight downfield. But they remind me a lot of each other, like kind of maybe not a head case, but like, not like a Tim Tebow type of guy, if that makes sense.
Right. So next pick, I'm going to do something a little different here. I'm looking at Vegas odds right now.
Okay.
And right now, Jaden Daniels is the favorite to go number 2 overall at -150. Drake May is +125. So I wouldn't say even odds there, but May has kind of skyrocketed the last couple of days. Unless I see something crazy, I'm still going to go with Jaden Daniels here. This is what I expect Washington to do.
Yeah.
Where is he? And, I'm actually, we talked about this the other day. I'm not the biggest Jaden Daniels guy. His frame worries me a lot. He's not very big. He didn't weigh in at the combine, which to me is a huge red flag. I don't know if he weighed in at his pro day, but that's a huge red flag. I mean, Bryce Young last year was able to put on weight and weigh in at 200, which we all know was a fake 200. Uh-huh. And he's a runner, and he's gotten these Lamar Jackson comparisons. I don't think he's even close to Lamar Jackson in terms of mobility. His arm strength's not as strong as Lamar Jackson. I'm just not quite as high on him as other people.
This is my thing. I think with a good coaching staff, some weapons, like he has a very high ceiling. I mean, I think his ceiling is a top 5 quarterback. I think
he's
his biggest slide. Dude, that's what I was just about to say. I was going to say, like, his biggest problem isn't necessarily his frame because he is young. He's going to just naturally gain like 15 pounds over the next, couple of years just being a grown man. But, dude, I've seen like 4 or 5 hits just like on Twitter and stuff of him getting fucking smoked, dude. You're going to die in the NFL if that happens to you. Like, If one of these safeties or one of these, somebody running downhill hits you like that, like you're not going to get up, especially with that frame. So
there's the famous play during the Florida State game where I think he tried to hurdle a guy. And there was someone waiting on him. Yeah.
Oh my God. And it's like, and listen, you can get away with that in college, and you can, I think you can coach that out of them. So that's why I said, like, with a good coaching staff, I think will be good. He's a boom or bust player though.
Yeah, I agree.
I think he has high bust potential, but high boom potential. Like, I don't see him being like, oh, like he's the 14th best quarterback in the league in 5 years. Like, I don't see that happening.
I don't either. All right, so you're up with the number 3 pick.
There is 2 ways you can go here. Obviously, we're not going to do trades here, so I'm going to go with the other one. I think there is a decent chance they do trade because their roster is so freaking terrible. And if they pick a project guy like a May or a McCarthy, like, he's not going to do well, man. So
that's just not a good situation for either of them.
No. So I think there's like a 25% chance they trade this pick to like, Minnesota or something like that. But I will go Drake May. And that's what I think they probably should do. He, again, man, I think he has high upside. Like, I think if he can be coached well, I mean, I like the frame. I like the arm. I like the athleticism. All that's there. So it's like, it really is going to come down to coaching. We'll see. Like, they used to have a good coaching staff. They don't now in New England, but you have to take Drake May if you don't trade the
they
pick.
Can't. Who's in their quarterback room right now?
Do they have Brian Hoyer again?
They did. I don't know if they still do.
Yeah.
So right now, their quarterback room is Jacoby Brissett, Nathan Rourke, Bailey Zappi.
Bailey Zappi, okay. I could see them trading that pick and just rolling with Jacoby Brissett, winning 4 games and getting a top 5 pick again, but I'll go Drake May.
Yeah. Right now, May is minus 115, so not a heavy favorite to go at number 3 overall. The second favorite is Jaden Daniels at plus 175, JJ McCarthy after that at plus 380, Marvin Harrison Jr. plus 2,500. So if they keep that pick, sure seems like they're taking a quarterback, which they should do.
Agreed.
I like May for whatever. I heard this the other day from somebody. They talked about how he's small, and someone said he's 6'4". Maybe it was Rich Eisen show.
I think he's 6'5". I mean, he's like a solid 230 pounds
when you look at him.
Yeah. I mean, I think he'll again grow into his frame. Like a lot of these guys are in their early 20s. I mean, I was skinny as hell in my early 20s, so it'll happen. But I think that's the pick, and I don't even think it's that close, honestly.
So this is an easy one. Number 4 overall, Arizona Cardinals, assuming they don't trade back, are going to take Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yep.
Probably the best player in this draft class.
Yeah.
Legacy from a Hall of Fame player.
And that's just that's enough. I mean, he knows what greatness looks like. Like that's something. I mean, that just really is. He played at a big time program. He dominated. I mean, the only reason he wasn't, he didn't come out sooner, or maybe not come out sooner, but didn't get as much buzz until the last couple of years is because he was playing behind all those dudes at Ohio State as a freshman. And when they all sat in that bowl game, he came in and he scored like 2 touchdowns or something.
I mean, they're loaded at wide receiver.
I think there's like no way he's not a very good player. Will he ever be like a top 3 guy? Maybe not, because he doesn't have the straight line speed as much, but like he's going to be 1,000-yard receiver his first year, I think.
If he goes to Arizona, I think that's a really good setup for him.
Yeah.
They showed a lot of promise last year. Obviously, Kyler Murray's a good quarterback.
He's good. Yeah.
Yeah, if he's not 1,000-yard receiver, I wouldn't even be surprised, because rookies, you never know how they're gonna.
Yeah, of course.
But if he's flirting with 1,000, that's still a good rookie year for him.
Yeah.
So this is when the draft gets really weird, and I'm going to defer to you here, obviously.
It's boring, but I think Harbaugh is going to come in and do Harbaugh things, and he's going to go tackle. I could see them trading this pick to the Vikings. I could see them going wide receiver here very easily, because they clearly fucking need a wide receiver. But I think, getting that top tackle is what they should do. And I just think that's Joe Alt. Good O-lineman come from Notre Dame. I know you shouldn't kind of base your your draft analysis on that, but they're clearly coached well there. They clearly play in a pro style system there. I think this will be a good pick. He is a little tall. Middlecoff was saying he might have trouble with bendier guys, but he's going to be a stonewall on guys who are, power rushers and guys who don't have a lot of moves. So I would take all. That's what I would do if I was the GM too. That's not just what I think they're going to do. So
I would too, just because I'm a build from the ball out guy.
Yep.
So right now he is 3rd in odds at the number 5 pick.
Wow.
Malik. I'm sorry. Yeah, I did say 3rd. Malik Neighbors is 1st at plus 230. Marvin Harrison Jr. and 2nd at plus 300. Joe Alt at plus 400. So not a ton of faith.
I said it right before. I could see them going wide receiver, and if they took Neighbors, I wouldn't kill them for it at all. Not even a little bit.
But I agree with you. We said this weeks ago, and I'm not wavering. If I have to do my mock draft tomorrow, or when I do my mock draft this week, assuming there's no trade between the Chargers and somebody else, I'm going to do Joe Alt there.
And dude, they can get, this is such a deep wide receiver class. They can get a dog in the 2nd. In fact, it just seems like a lot of the league's top receivers went in the 2nd. It's kind of weird, to be honest. So they're fine. You're not going to get Joe Alt in the 2nd, but you can get whoever, the guy from Oregon or something in the 2nd or something.
The value, I said this to my friend Ryan the other day, the value on wide receiver it's proven it's on day 2.
And also, there's just so many of them coming out now.
Yes.
Like, I feel like wide receiver used to be like what running back was, where it's just like, I want the ball in Pop Warner. But now it's like all these kids want to play receiver. So there's just like absolute freaks coming out every year.
There were a few years there where it felt like year after year, it wasn't a great receiver draft.
Yeah.
But this is now, 5 years in a row?
Dating
back to 2020?
Of like 3 or 4 guys.
Receiver draft. I hear this every year.
They feel like they hit too. Like how many of them are? But obviously Mitchell, but like a lot of these guys are at least solid players at the very least, if not great players. Like Jamar Chase went early, great player. Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, like all these guys who went really high, and they're all really good players, like Pro Bowl level players. So you're right. Like the bust rate isn't there as high as it would be for like a tackle. I mean, so yeah, I mean, I think Joe Alt's the pick, and I think it's a good pick.
All right, so I'm up at number 6. A lot of buzz about the Giants taking a quarterback with this pick. As it stands right now, J.J. McCarthy is 4th in terms of odds at plus 550. So Vegas isn't really buying the hype on the Giants taking a quarterback. I'm not ruling it out, though. I could totally see it, but I am going to mock Malik Nabers to the Giants with this pick.
It's a no-brainer. I knew the way the draft board was set up, I knew the Giants were getting Nabers like 2 months ago. I think he's going to be there at 6, and that's exactly what they need is a number 1 wide receiver. So I think that's a good pick. Yeah, and I think he's going to be good. I mean, again, very similar to what I said earlier. It's just like good wide receivers come out of LSU. Like I'll take a chance on that school. Like it just is what it is. So. Easy pick. This is where I think, it starts to get a little bit different. I think the idea of the Titans right now, because they do have some skill players, whether they're great skill players or not, whatever. But like they have Hopkins, they just signed Pollard.
Well, here's the thing: you don't
Burks, who's not great, but he's a high draft pick. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say you don't use a first-round pick, especially a top 10 pick, on a number 4 receiver. Like
Exactly. So I think they have to go O-line here. They went Skoronski last year. Like I think they're going to really try to build this out and Levis has enough weapons to see if he's decent. He's obviously not going to be great. Give him a chance behind an O-line. There's literally 5 tackles that could have went here. Personally, when I made my I just took the highest rated tackle, who was Talise Fuaga out of Oregon State. It could be the guy from Penn State. It could be any of those guys. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if it was the guy from Penn State, but I'll go the Oregon State tackle.
By the time Thursday rolls around, or this pick rolls around on Thursday night, I fully expect it to be Joe Alt. But he's off the board in this mock draft.
Yes. And if he's there, that is the pick. Like they're going to go O-line. And actually, I wouldn't be crazy surprised if they went edge rusher, if they really liked Latu or Dallas Turner or something. I don't think they'll do that. And I think the best player on the board probably is a tackle there. Unless they went wide receiver, which I don't think they do. So
right now, Alt is minus 140 to go to number 7. Odunze is plus 800. Fuaga is plus 900. Fashanu is plus 1,000. So Vegas thinks it's going to be O-line. I fully expect it to be O-line. And again, by the time this pick Thursday night rolls around, I expect it to be Alt because I think the Chargers will trade out of 5.
So a trade's clearly going to happen in the top 5 that's going to like fuck this board up.
And probably 2, honestly.
Yeah.
And so you went Fuaga?
Yes. And I feel like 8 should be easy for you because it's been the same guy in every single mock draft I've seen for the last 6 months.
Well, honestly, dude, Laiatu Latu is having some serious buzz with this pick.
Dude, I want him to fall to the Eagles so bad.
So right now, Dallas Turner is plus 250 to go number 8. Laiatu Latu is plus 260. So
wow,
it's one of those two. And honestly, I think DraftKings had Latu as the favorite.
And I mean, apparently Latu is he has the body, he has the production. Like apparently he is the best pass rusher. Obviously, he has that medical with his neck. Dude, if the doctor clears him, I'm taking him. Like I wanted that.
Go ahead.
I was just, dude, I want him to fall to the Eagles, but I don't think that he will.
He reminds me just not in terms of the way he plays, just in terms of his backstory. He reminds me so much of Jalen Phillips, who came out of UCLA back in, I think, 2021.
I thought he was a Miami guy.
I think he started at Miami, wound up at UCLA, drafted by the Dolphins, I think. But a lot of injuries in college.
Yeah, he just tore his Achilles.
Yeah. So just reminds me a lot of him. I don't know if he'll go in the top 10. I need to see more these next couple of days. Like if Latu keeps, getting buzz for that pick, I'll change my mind. But right now, I'm still going to go with Dallas Turner.
Yeah, I think it's the pick until further notice.
Just speed. Right. He's not very big, but pure speed off the edge, and I think that feels like something. What's his name? The head coach there now.
Where?
Atlanta. Why am I blanking on his name?
Who is their new fucking coach?
The old defensive coordinator of the Rams.
Oh, Raheem Morris. I don't know why I couldn't think of that either.
That was kind of their style with the Rams, was these kind of undersized edge rushers who just were just really quick coming off the edge, Leonard Floyd being one of them. I see no reason to think that they won't like Dallas Turner.
Yeah, and I think that's the pick. And 9, not only do I think this will be the pick if the board falls this way, but this is definitely what I would do because Caleb Williams is just going to have a fucking slew of people to toss the rock to. I'm taking Rome Odunze here. Yeah. By the way, wouldn't be the least bit shocked if he ended up having the best career out of all these guys.
I think he's
a dog. I think he's a dog. He's got hands. He's big. He is fast. I didn't think he was going to run that fast. I think he ran a 4.45. He's going to be good, and I think that's perfect. He can learn from Keenan Allen. I feel like they'll be maybe not similar players, but I think the how to be a professional, the route running, all that shit. I think that's a good fit, and I think it's a good pick.
Right now, he's plus 150 to go to the Bears at number 9. The next guy is Byron Murphy at plus 600. So that tells you what Vegas thinks.
Damn. Yeah. So we know ball.
But I really like him a lot. I think him, Moore, Kmet, who's the other guy? Keenan Allen. That's going to be a really stacked receiving core.
Yeah.
So I am up now with the Jets at number 10. All signs. This is not what I would do.
I agree. I already know what you're going to say. I agree with you, but just pick them because it's what they're going to do, apparently.
This is not what I would do at all, but all signs are pointing to this being Brock Bowers. And that's what I'm going to do here. I'm not as high on Brock Bowers as everyone else. I know that sounds crazy because he, dog walked everyone in the SEC. I think he's a glorified fullback. I really do.
Dude, you ain't telling me. I mean, I think he will be a good player. I think as a receiver, he's going to be a poor man's George Kittle, and I just don't think that's worth the 10th pick because I feel like they're going to play very similarly as pass catchers, but he can't block like Kittle. I don't think he's as athletic as Kittle.
Like Kittle.
That's what I'm saying. Like he doesn't have that. So you're basically paying a lot of draft capital for a red zone target and a slot receiver. Which listen, man, if he ends up hitting his ceiling, and any player's worth it. You could pick a fucking center if they end up being a top 3 center in the league, then it's worth it no matter where you pick them. But I wouldn't do that. But yeah, I think they're going to pick him. I think the board's going to fall that way. And I don't know, maybe Aaron Rodgers sees something in him and he's like, I want to toss to that guy. By the way, giving him way too much juice right now for being 40 years old. He deserves it if he was 35 and he'd be there for 5 more years. But like, they're shaking up the fucking franchise for 1 year where they're going to win 8 games. They're not going to do shit this year.
No, they're going to be a disaster. In my
opinion. They're going to be an absolute disaster.
You don't have a second round pick. Like, you're going to wait till the 3rd to draft a tackle when, you've done a really good job of fixing up your O-line, but Tyron Smith hasn't really shown he can be healthy at left tackle the last couple of years.
Yep.
I agree, I can see the writing.
He's going to get hurt. He's not going to play 17 games. I'll tell you that right now. He hasn't since, I think, 2019 or something. Like, it's been years. 11, this is going to be the Vikings pick, I think, no matter where they pick them, whether they trade up or they stay at 11. I think they would. I think they would love for the board to fall this way, which I think it could, by the way, if they just stayed. Yeah. But I think another team could jump them for them, which is their concern, obviously. I think they picked J.J. McCarthy. I think it's perfect. They can kind of let Sam Darnold start the first half of the year, kind of toss them in when they're maybe not great. And I think J.J. McCarthy is going to suck, but I think based on like him as a prospect and everything you're talking about, I don't think it's a terrible pick. And I do think they end up with McCarthy. I think the Vikings do.
I do too. He feels right now he is. It says our internet connection is unstable. One of us at least. Let me look up his draft position right now is 5.5, so that tells you where they think he's going to end up. Minnesota. Oh, he doesn't come up. Is there not a team to draft McCarthy option? I don't see it. Anyway, I know for the longest time he was the favorite, or the Vikings were the favorite to get him. I still think the same thing. I think it's going to be McCarthy. Where? I don't know. I don't think this is a terrible situation for him in Minnesota. I fully believe, though, he needs to sit the full year, probably 2. And I don't think Minnesota is going to be patient enough.
I don't either. I don't think he'll start week 1, but I don't see a scenario where he doesn't play snaps second half of his rookie year. And that's just how the NFL is now. I totally agree with you. If he could use a full year to put on weight, to learn the playbook, to learn all that shit. I mean, Sam Darnold isn't necessarily the best guy to sit behind.
He honestly should get the Jordan Love treatment. And dude, you're not even going to dress.
Yes.
You're going to just be in street clothes on the sideline.
You're a clipboard guy. I completely agree, but that's just not what it is anymore, especially that high. But yeah, I think that's the pick. So
I like him. I think he can work. Depends on the situation. And I'm not the only one where I would be like, I think this will work is the Rams. And I don't know if they'll take a quarterback.
Yeah.
So number 12, we differed on this the other day.
I am so fucking confident about this, and I don't know why. I just feel like he's the prototype of what Sean Payton wants. Stand there like a fucking statue and put it exactly where I want you to put it, and we will get first downs all the way down the field. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
So I'm trying to find him. I don't see him on here. Draft position over under. I'm not seeing him. But right now, oddly enough, the position of Denver Broncos' first drafted player right now is defensive lineman, edge rusher at plus 180, quarterback at plus 190. Interesting.
Dude,
the way I think it's going to go.
Sean is picking a fucking quarterback.
Yeah,
I would put my bank account on that. They're not drafting a fucking D lineman. That's not happening. First of all, there's not one worth taking.
That would be so weird if they did that. Because the quarterback room right now, let me pull it up. I know for sure it's Jarrett Stidham. And who else? Ben DiNucci. Like,
who's not even an NFL player.
Next year with those
he won't be on the roster. He won't be on the roster week 1. So
we
go ahead and pick your guy. But I'm telling you, I think it's going to be the lefty. But go ahead.
You could be right. Right now, he is. Let me find it. I just saw him. There he is. Michael Penix Jr. right now is his draft position is 32.5.
I'm fucking picking the over on that every time. What do you mean? You think he's not going
over second? Means that he'll be 33 or up. Under would be.
Or what? He's going first round. Was my point. Like he's going to be whatever the side is the first on the first round. Like that's where he's going first round. Like what are we talking about?
Well, I'm still going to go with Bo Nix. I think.
Okay.
That's been my opinion all offseason. I'm not changing it.
He plays very similarly. Like Oregon's offense this year was a lot of dink and dunk shit, and that's what Peyton likes to do. So I'm not saying that's a bad pick. I just think Penix has a better arm than Bo Nix.
I think Penix would be better for Denver in that cold weather with that arm.
Yeah, I agree. So, but also like if you're like, yeah, dude, this guy's medical. Like, sure, he's played the last 2 years, but before that, he got hurt like 4 years in a row. So, like, I wouldn't blame someone if I was like, I'll take Bo Nix, who's never been hurt. Has he ever been hurt? He's played like 6 years in college. He played every snap, I think. Played all the snaps for Auburn and all the snaps for Oregon. So I wouldn't blame you. I actually almost just talked myself into it. So good pick.
He feels very I'm not comparing him to Drew Brees. He just kind of feels like Drew Brees. Not the biggest arm. I don't think he'll be terrible, but I don't think his ceiling's there. But I think he'll play within that Peyton-style offense better than what Penix might. But I could see that going either way. If I was the guy in charge, I would pick Penix, but that's me. Well, I don't know his medicals, though. Medicals might turn them off.
Agreed. Well, thank you for letting the board fall this way because this is perfect for the Raiders. I'll take Michael Penix. They need a quarterback. Okay, I just don't think the board was going to fall right for him. But I think if Penix is there, they're taking him.
There was the report, I think, Friday that said they could take him at 13.
Why not? Like, that's a good pick. He's going to go play in a dome with that arm. Like, pick 50 O-linemen
with
after
Devontae
him.
Adams catching the ball for him?
Pick O-line for the rest of the shit and just go. Like, you're not going to be a good team this year anyway, so don't even worry about the defense. Just make sure he doesn't get hit a million times. And I love that pick, actually. Thank you for letting the board fall that way. I'll take Penix for Las Vegas for sure.
All right, so 14. The Saints are likely going O-line. Let me look up.
The way it fell, I think they could take a D lineman, but I agree with you. I have an O lineman in my draft too.
So right now, the Saints, the odds of the Saints drafting an offensive lineman in the first or with their first pick is minus 310. So, and New Orleans can't look ahead. They only look in the near, like what is ahead of them that year. They cannot look 2 to 3 years in the future. They're just that organization. They only think about the present, and they're going to draft probably what they think is their biggest need. And right now, I think that is likely O-line. So let's look at the offensive linemen still on the board. We have Fautanu, Olu Fashanu, J.C. Latham, Amarius Mims. I actually think this could be Mims because I think we need to prepare ourselves that Mims might go top 15. But let me look up the first offensive lineman off the board rankings. So we got Alt Fuaga. Fautanu is third. So Latham is also third. And Fashanu tied for third. So I'm going to go with Fautanu. I think he can play tackle. He's likely a guard. I think he can play tackle, though. Either way, he's making an impact somewhere, and I think the Saints could use a guy like that.
Yeah, totally agree. That's who I have in my mock draft, and I like that pick. I think they swung and missed on that tackle a couple of years ago. They definitely they need to beef up the O-line a little bit. All right, so I think this is a little early, but I just think they need to beef up that offense a little bit for Anthony Richardson. So I could see them going one of the Texas receivers here, but I just went Brian Thomas Jr. out of LSU. I think he's a bit kind of similar to Pittman, which I don't really like. But I think he's
more of a deep threat.
Yeah, but I think they need that. Like they need somebody to stretch the field a little bit because AR-15 has an absolute cannon. So I'll take Brian Thomas.
So me personally, I think this is where it starts for Brian Thomas Jr. is at 15.
Yep, I agree. And I would obviously, I mean, now that we're out of like the top 10, like I wouldn't be surprised if any of these are wrong as hell, but I like that pick. So, and I'm going to have a little less analysis on these later picks just because like I don't know them as well, but I do like my mock. So,
Seattle right now, it's so hard with Seattle. They're almost like Green Bay where you really don't know what's
I think the way the board fell, I think this is an easy pick.
So right now, O-line is the favorite here for the Seahawks. Edge is second and quarterback, but all the quarterbacks are off the board.
Dude, you know who they're taking here with this board the way it fell.
Do I?
Yes. Just think about the school.
I don't know.
It's Latu, bro.
Fautanu's off the board.
Latu is going to the Latu. Well, he used to be in Washington. He's from Washington.
Oh, is he?
Yes, he used to play at Washington. He transferred to UCLA. That's what it was.
he was at Washington. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's why you were probably confused. That's who I would pick there. But yeah, I mean, who are you feeling there? Because I don't know. I think I personally would take the upside on potentially the best edge rusher over the fourth best tackle. But you're right. I mean, I could see him going online as well.
So right now, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 offensive linemen on their final roster or on their roster. The interior guys are Tremaine Ankrum, Anthony Bradford, McClendon Curtis, Nick Harris, Olu. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce all this.
The tackle.
Olu, yeah. And Laken Tomlinson. They really need help in the interior. But Faltani's off their board, and I think that would be their guy. And they don't really need a tackle. So, yeah, I'm going to follow your lead there and go with Laiatu Latu.
I think that's a good pick. I think McDonald
that does feel very Seattle.
I think McDonald is, I think he's going to go. They have good offensive players. Like, obviously, O-line, you could always work on your O-line. Sure, if they took a tackle there, wouldn't beat them up. But, like, they don't need any skill position players. You would think, like, their secondary is at least decent. Like, I don't know. I think that's a good pick, and that's who I would pick. So
you can find interior guys later, too.
Exactly. So Jacksonville. So I think this is where the draft starts to get a little kooky. But since he's still on the board, I'm going to take Byron Murphy here.
Interesting.
Throw him in between Trayvon and Josh Allen and just let him work. I think they will.
I am somewhat convinced Byron Murphy is going to go somewhere in the top 20. I just don't know where.
Yes, I agree. And I think he could go to – listen, if he falls to the Rams, I think that's a fucking no-brainer for them. They need to replace a D-tackle, obviously. I mean, he's not going to be Aaron Donald, but getting the best D-tackle after Aaron Donald retires in the draft is a slam dunk pick. So, but I'll take it.
This board is looking so good for Green Bay, and I know it's not going to go down this way.
I know, dude. I feel like we're pretty fucking close right now. Like, I really do. Obviously, when we get into the 20s, it's all going to fall apart like every draft. But like, I think we're pretty on in the top here. But yeah, I'll take Byron Murphy there. I think, dude. I mean, you have 3 first-round picks on your D line. You should have a very, very, very fucking good D line. So
Cincinnati, got to go O line here. Bowers is on the board.
And again, I think it fell perfectly.
If they went defense, it would be an interior defensive lineman, in my opinion, and Murphy's off the board. I don't know if they like Jerzon Newton that much. So tackles, give me J.C. Latham here.
Wow. I thought you were going to take Olu.
Right tackle in college. They need a right tackle. That works. Sure. I think people are a little worried about Fashanu. I think his stock has dipped a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely has. I remember they were talking about him as top 4 or 5 pick, a few months back. All right,
he's weird.
Rams.
I could see him having a fall. I could see him going in the top 10.
Rams are interesting because you're right. I think ideally they would want Byron Murphy, but he's not going to go, and I'm not taking the Newton at 19. I'm going to go Quinyon Mitchell.
I like for them here is Jared Verse.
I'm going to go Quinyon Mitchell. I'm going to take the best corner in the draft, throw him out there.
How is he still on the board?
Yeah, dude, I'm saying that the tackles and the quarterbacks pushed a lot of players down, like really good players down. So, I think that's a good pick. I'll take Quinyon Mitchell there. Best corner in the draft. You get him at 19. That's a steal.
Steelers are up right now. I think that they are going O-line here, even though they could use some help in their secondary. Right now, offensive line is the favored position for them to be the first position they draft on Thursday at minus 320. So they're going to go O-line. They've been linked to our boy Zach Frazier, but this is a little early for him, in my opinion. So I think this is when Olu Fashanu comes off the board.
That's a good pick. I have Latham here, and we just flipped those, I'm pretty sure. So I like that pick. If they can get the Penn State tackler, I mean, that's cool school-wise, stay in Penn. Like, I like that pick. I think that's a really good pick. So we are to the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins could do a
lot.
I
really don't know what they're going to do.
The O-line got smoked last year. So, I'm going to take Mims here. I think
that's where it needs to go.
Big mold of clay. He can learn behind a really, really good fucking tackle. Not behind, but like from a really good tackle.
Well, they're very similar to the Jets where they have a left tackle, but Teron Armstead just can't really be healthy. I think he even flirted with retirement this year.
Yeah.
So they need to start looking ahead there.
And obviously they have skill position players all over the place that has players. I don't know if they're a great defense. I think
Christian Wilkins. So if this is an interior defensive lineman, I wouldn't be shocked either.
True. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if Newton went here, but I'll go Mims. I think that's a good pick.
Yeah. All right. So your Eagles are up. I'm going to try to do this right for you.
I don't like who I picked, but I think if the board falls this way, there's a good shot they grab him.
Howie loves his defensive lineman, and Jared Verse is looking at me right in the face.
Yep. I'm going to tell you right now, if one of those three falls there, would not be surprised at all if he drafts them at all. Obviously,
I don't think he gives a shit, but that would be 3 years in a row.
No, I know. But if he's the best player on their board, like he's going to be giddy.
And they did just lose Hassan Reddick. So
yeah. So
you know what? Fuck it, I'm going to do it. I'm going
to nice. Okay, I like that pick.
I don't know how he's still on the board. I know the guy. I think he's going in the top 20. I just don't know where.
Cool. I like it. I'll take Jared Verse there.
All right.
Okay. So the Vikings. This is tough. This is really
quarterback. We've been so focused on quarterback for them. We're like, oh, right, yeah. They have 2 first-round picks now.
Dude, I don't fucking know. They're not going to have this pick. I see them packaging these 2 picks to move up. But
if they somehow keep it, I think they go defense. If the board fell this way, I think they go defense. I could see O-line, though.
I'll go Cooper DeJean.
That's where I was leaning.
Yeah. They don't need offensive weapons. Again, sure, could they go but it's like, again, do you want like the 6th best tackle in the draft at fucking 20? Like, that's just ridiculous. I could see I feel like everyone else is gone. They could easily pick one of the other corners, but like maybe they like DeJean's person. What the fuck? Why can't I think of the word?
I think Newton would be on their radar too.
He can do a lot of different things. Versatile. There you go. So, okay, I'll take DeJean there.
Dallas. Right now, O-line is favored here at minus 210.
Yeah.
And I'm going to follow suit there. Not Zach Guyton. Tyler Guyton is still on the board. They just lost left tackle Tyron Smith, which they kind of already needed to address left tackle even before he left. So yeah. I'm gonna say they stay local and take Guyton. All right, now you got my boys up.
Yeah, and I'm not changing from my my mock draft.
I don't blame you.
And honestly, like I liked it just on feel. Like when I was filling it out, I was like, Packer. And then you gave me like he is a Packer because you gave me like the measurement shit, and I'm like, dude.
So go ahead and say who it is.
They're gonna love. He can play all 5 positions apparently. I don't really fuck with that as much as maybe like coaches do. It's like, dude, I want you to be really good at one position, but like that's how the Eagles and the Packers are. Like they like very versatile offensive linemen. I think that's the pick. You throw him in there at guard now and eventually bump him out the tackle. I think that's the move, and I think he's a good player.
I don't think you ever said his name. He is referring to Graham Barton, the offensive lineman from
I knew that we knew. So, my bad.
He is very Packers because I'm such a sicko. I've gone through the last 30 years at every single position and looked up like the size and weight for every guy they drafted at each position since Ron Wolf took over the team in 91. And for offensive linemen, it is, and the reason why I did that is because Green Bay, I said this term to you, they've been very incestuous at general manager. Ron Wolf in the 90s. Then they hired Ted Thompson, who was at Green Bay under Ron Wolf in the 90s. Then they've transitioned from Ted Thompson to Brian Gutekunst. Brian Gutekunst worked under Ted Thompson, who worked under Ron Wolf in the 90s. So they've been very incestuous about that. They
truly
value the same characteristics and traits of players. But anyway, so the average size of the offensive tackle in the last 30 years has been 6'5", about 315, and Barton falls within that. He has elite RAS grade. He's still under 22 years old, which Green Bay really likes. 100%, he is on their board, yeah. I would imagine.
Yeah.
And I think when Thursday rolls around, this pick is, if they keep it, is going to be him, Cooper DeJean, or Kool-Aid McKinstry. That's just my opinion.
Dude, I agree with you. I think, or one of the other corners, but yeah, I mean, I agree with you there. Bucks were tough. Who are you going here? I mean, they just, I don't know. Like, what do they fucking need? Like,
so I have mocked Chop Robinson to them for quite a bit. I don't know if they would do that. His production is mostly as a pass rusher and getting sacks. The Bucks have taken two guys like that in recent years, in Joe Tryon-Shoyinka and Logan Hall, who all their production in college was as a pass rusher, not really so much living in the backfield. I don't know if they want to do that again. I think Chop Robinson's going round one. I just don't know where. Elite traits, or at least he tested really well. Not the biggest guy. I could see if Graham Barton's here, I think they would take him. I'm going to go corner and Terrion Arnold. Still on the board. They lost Carlton Davis.
Who I picked on my mock draft.
I would go him.
Yeah.
All right, Arizona.
Arizona again. I could see them going Newton here.
I always mock Newton to them at 27.
I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that.
I don't know if he'll be there or if he's
a
little undersized, but they need help in the interior D-line.
Yeah, I'll go there.
All right. I feel pretty good about Buffalo taking a wide receiver here.
Yeah, they have to. It's going to be one of three guys. It's going to be one of the Texas guys or the Oregon guy, in my opinion.
So I could totally see a scenario where I'm not trying to make fun of Buffalo, but like they take Xavier Worthy as we have to take him just so Kansas City doesn't take him. And here's my opinion. I don't think Kansas City's taking a wide receiver in the first round, and I'll explain why later. But like they'll do that as we can't let him go to Kansas City. And Kansas City, meanwhile, is like, what sort of offensive lineman should we get? Not even thinking about it. But I'm going to go with A.D. Mitchell from Texas. I think he goes round one.
I think that's a great pick. I think that's a fantastic pick, and I
think he's going to be really good.
Yeah.
Worthy, his frame worries me a lot. At 160, I mean, I would compare him to Hollywood Brown, and I think that's kind of who he's going to be. Yeah. I think he'll be a decent player. I don't think he's going to be a great player, even though he has plenty of speed.
I agree. I mean, dude, speed kills in the NFL. Like, don't get it twisted. Mm-hmm. But like, if your weapon is speed, it's like, first of all, even if you hit your ceiling, like how long is your prime? Like you're going to lose a step or two, dude. Can you catch? Can you get open? Like all these things. So like, I totally agree with you. I would take Mitchell over Worthy 10 times out of 10. I just think he's going to be
Worthy's frame in cold weather Buffalo does not mix.
No, I agree. And just Josh Allen is, listen, I think his accuracy is underrated, but like he's not a fucking keyhole guy. Like he needs a catch radius. Like I love that pick. I think that's a great pick. And if he's there, there's no way they don't take him.
Yeah, I would say him or Brian Thomas Jr. if he's there.
Yep.
If either are there.
I agree. 29. I think they need defense. I think it is
got good one on the board.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go McKinstry here.
Okay, I was wondering if you would go Wiggins.
I have Wiggins in my draft, but McKinstry fell. So I'm gonna take him. I think.
Wiggins is another one. Frame concerns me a lot.
Yeah.
And he came in at 173, which is really light for a corner. I don't think if he's on the board, even if McKinstry's not on the board, I don't think they would take Wiggins.
Yeah.
He does not seem to me to fit the Dan Campbell type of personality where he wants to, go after dudes. Talented player. Yeah, and tackle. And I don't think Wiggins is going to do that.
Yeah.
Baltimore at 30.
The way this board fell, this is another one where I think it's just a no-brainer. I'm so serious.
So, they're favored to take an offensive lineman with this pick.
That's surprising. I mean, I'm not going to buy stock in that at 30. Like, those are just odd. You know what I mean? Like, sure, like maybe the top 20 odds are pretty accurate, but at this point, it's like anybody's guess because they have no idea how the board's going to fall.
So I don't know if this is who you're referring to.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going Xavier Worthy.
Okay.
As you just said, we have said this many times on the podcast. Speed kills, and I don't see a scenario where the guy who shattered the 40 time in the combine falls out of the first round.
Yeah, dude, I agree with you. I don't think that's a terrible pick. I would have went Chop there. I think they already took like
I could see that
upside Penn State player before in OA. Like I think if he falls there, like they're very similar. Like we're gonna build O-line, D-line. I could see O-line, but again, you want the 8th best tackle or whatever. But okay, 31. There's a lot of ways that they could go too. I think it depends on what they do with Ayuk. I think there's a chance Ayuk leaves on. I
think this is a spot for Xavier Worthy, honestly.
On draft night. That's what I was gonna say. So if Ayuk leaves, I think they go wide receiver here. If not, I guess because there's a lot of physical players around him, I'll go Nate Wiggins here.
Okay, interesting.
I don't like the pick. I really don't. On my board,
I probably would have gone Jackson Powers Johnson. Beef up the O-line.
Yeah, actually, you know what? Can I change my pick? I'm going to do that because they do need interior O-line help. No, I can't change?
I've already put it in.
Okay, that's fair.
I mean, I can type it up, honestly.
You're good. I don't care.
Okay.
It's all good.
Well, I meant, I don't have to share this photo on the PFF draft board. I can just type it up like I usually do.
No, you're fine.
Okay.
It's not like oh my God, I should. But like you convinced me. You're right. Like they do need interior O-line.
They need to beef up the trenches. I think for San Francisco, Chop Robinson's in play. All the offensive linemen are in play.
I think I think Powers is going to Dallas. They just lost their center.
He is one. I think either him or Frazier are going round 1. I just don't know where.
Yeah.
I don't know where.
There's some good players in this draft, dude. The way this board fell, but all right.
This is the best draft I think we've had in 3 to 4 years.
Yeah. So who you got for Kansas City? Because I totally agree with you. I think they're going O-line here too.
So they are favored to take a wide receiver. Here's why I'm going to tell you that's not going to happen. Because when Andy Reid took that job in 2013, he hired John Dorsey to be his general manager. John Dorsey came from Green Bay. What does Green Bay not do in the first round? Draft wide receivers. Now, I'm not saying that they're opposed, 100% opposed to it, but it's got to be the right player.
And you also always have to think, obviously 32 is the first round, but they're not looking at that the same way as 17 or something. You know what I mean? So
that's why they took Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Exactly. You can swallow a reach pick a little more at 32 than you can 22. So.
But I don't think they're going to do it. I think they're going to go O-line. They're like I said, their roots are from Green Bay, and Green Bay values, premium positions with dudes with traits, and they could go wide receiver. I don't think it'll be Xavier Worthy. I know everyone is trying to push that narrative because his elite speed and Mahomes, but again, his frame in Kansas City, it does not work.
I agree.
So I think it's O-line. I don't think it's Jackson Powers Johnson. They already have a center. They're pretty good in the interior. I don't think he would be the pick. So I'm going to go with Jordan Morgan from Arizona. That's who I have mocked to them so many times in the last few weeks.
I had Guyton falling to them, but obviously
I think it's going to be a tackle.
But yeah, I like that pick. We just killed that. I don't think I've ever liked the mock draft we've made that much.
I think it's just because
Dude, I bet you I would put money that we have 7 picks right here.
Oh, I think so. Yeah. It's so, and I'm way too hung up on it. It's going to get so weird between 4 to 7.
Yeah, because the picks are going to get traded. Like that's what's going to happen. But we always have to keep the same rule of like if the team gets the player, it's still a
so do you want to talk real quick? Get teams outside the top or the first round, what they could do.
I mean,
I mean teams that don't have a first round pick.
That's where I think the Chargers are going to pick a wide receiver top of the second round.
Yeah.
I think. Like I think Chop Robinson fell out of our first round, I think he could go to Carolina very easily.
After losing
Burns. Let's see.
So the teams that don't have a first round pick, that was who I was specifically talking about. Carolina.
So Carolina, I would say if the board fell the way we had it, Chop Robinson goes there.
I would agree. Let me pull up the trades. So Carolina does not. We've already said Chop Robinson. Yeah, if he's still on the board, I would imagine that's who they take at 33. Cleveland does not, and Houston does not. I think those are the only two that don't.
I think Houston's going to go O-line. They're going to pick O-line in the second round. I think they have to. I think they just traded for Diggs, so they clearly have enough firepower on offense.
It's interesting that I think they were willing to fall from 23 to 41, 18 slots.
I could also see, I think one of these corners that are, first-round corners are going to fall out of the first two, and I can just see them taking one of them. Like, if Kool-Aid falls or Wiggins falls or any of these guys. I mean, there's a bunch. What is there, 5 corners that could go first round? 4?
I think 4. I think it's
Arnold,
Mitchell,
Arnold,
McKinstry, DeJean. I think those 4.
Yeah.
I could see.
And I think Wiggins has a chance at the end of the first round.
Oh,
but I agree. But I agree. He does probably fall to the second, the way the board falls. I agree with you.
Well, just it usually that's just a position that if you're undersized, they're not gonna take a chance on you.
Yeah.
Look at Brian Branch last year. Undersized, not very didn't show much athleticism.
And he's a good player. He's a good player, but yeah, he fell.
As for the Texans, I think edge rusher could be in play after losing Jonathan Grenard. There are some decent edge rushers that'll still be on the board. Cleveland, I don't really know. I mean, they could go in a variety of ways. I think the biggest thing with them, though, is they don't really need anything, but the quarterback position is slowing them down.
Yeah, I mean, they are truly going to be in a BPA position. I think they're going to go defense probably because they're going to end up losing some of these players because of the cap hit from Watson. So I guess I don't feel good about that, though. I mean, all that's going to depend. I mean, obvious fucking statement, but it's all going to depend on how the first round falls. But obviously, there's going to be some really, really good players that fall into the second round, maybe even to the middle of the second round.
I would agree.
Yeah, because the quarterbacks and tackles are pushing everybody down. I mean, what did we have? 6 tackles going first round? What is that, a record?
Oh, so let me look.
We might have had 7.
Unfortunately, I closed out of our mock. So total number of offensive linemen in round 1 right now is at 9.5. And we had
a shitload.
Alt Fuaga. Now, this isn't just tackles. This is all
I know.
Alt Fuaga, Latham, Faltanu, Fashanu.
Mims,
Guyton.
Powers.
I don't think we took Powers, did we?
No, but I'm saying he could go first.
Right. Yeah. I was just thinking of guys that we took.
Yeah.
Barton. We took Barton.
Yeah.
So that was 8 right there.
And Latham. Did you say Latham?
I think I did.
Okay.
But that's 8 right there, and I feel really good about those 8 getting in the
and
first
4
round.
Quarterbacks minimum, if not 5, are going first round. So I mean, that's
I think book 5, but you've convinced me that it is likely 6. And
that's over a third of the picks. I mean, there's going to just be a lot of really good players that get pushed down here, and then we're sitting here all these corners. So I mean, I guess it's kind of weird because there's not a lot of interior D linemen this year, like there kind of usually is.
And I don't think it's a terrible interior defensive lineman draft, just not at the top.
Not at the top, yeah. Well,
but so right now quarterbacks are 4.5. I'll tell you right now, bet the over in the first round.
They're going 5.
I think it's for sure.
Dude,
5.
if you
Six.
told me all 5 went in the top 15, I would believe you.
100%. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen.
I mean, and worst case scenario, one of those teams are trading back up into the first and getting Bo Nix or Penix.
Yes.
If they fall into the to 30, pick 30, like, dude, they're trading that shit.
And we're not gonna give these official picks. I'm just saying right now, because we do this every year. We give the over/under on certain positions. Offensive lineman right now 9.5. We just named 8 that I feel really good about.
Yeah.
So you need 2 more.
Maybe not.
Oh, that's right. I forgot Jordan Morgan. That was 9 we had. That was 9 offensive tackles we had. Plus Powers Johnson. There could be a Zach Frazier. There could be a... I'm trying to think of who else is... that could go round 1. I'm looking at Daniel Jeremiah's board.
That's a weird draft, man. It's a good draft, but it's a weird draft.
It's loaded with offensive players. I don't see any more. So that 9.5 is close. That's cutting it close.
I think it'll be 9. Like, I really do. I think that's
probably
the pick.
9,
so
yeah.
I'll probably go under there.
Corners right now, that number is 5.5.
Under.
I would take the under. I don't see.
There's no way 6 corners are going in the first round. Who the fuck is the 6th corner?
Ennis Rakestraw, and I don't think he's going round 1 after the way he tested.
No shot. I wouldn't be surprised if
TJ
only 3
Tampa, I really don't know.
No, so I'd go
That's
under there for
heavy
sure.
Under. Although it makes me think Vegas knows something we don't.
Yeah, they do.
Wide receivers at 6.5.
I'm going under there. It's going to be the
6,
top 3 guys. Brian Thomas. I could see Worthy and Mitchell going round 1 too. I could see 7.
So
I'll go over there actually.
Harrison, Odunze, Neighbors, Thomas. But I think all we had left was Mitchell and Worthy, correct?
Yes.
That was 6. And the number is 6.5.
Okay. Yeah, I'd go 6 then.
I think under.
Okay. Yeah. Even though I could see Franklin sneaking into the first round, but probably not.
Defensive lineman edge rusher is 6.5. That seems high.
I'm going under there too. Because I think maximum 2 interior linemen, and then there's the top 3 pass rushers, and then I could see maybe one of like the random guys, not random, but like one of the not top guys going at the end of the first round. But I don't see much more than that.
Latu, Jared Verse, 2 interior defensive linemen. That's 5.
And who else? We need 7.
Robinson. Yeah, you're right. We need 7. I would say Chop Robinson could be the 6th. Yeah, I think you're right.
Maybe, but like who's the 7th? Yeah.
Unless I could see a scenario, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I could see a scenario where someone who tested really well, other than Chop Robinson, sneaks in there, like a Braden Fisk.
100%.
I don't think that's likely, though.
A traits guy at like number 30, I could totally see that. But I mean, if you're asking me, I'm definitely going under there.
I like it. Oh, here it is. Team to draft player. Bo Nix, Denver is plus 105. Raiders are plus 600.
Sounds like Vegas thinks he's going there.
Yeah. J.J. McCarthy, Vikings. Well, the thing with the Broncos is they don't have a second-round pick. So it's either you got to draft him at 12 or trade up for him. But in the first round, or you're taking Spencer Rattler, which I actually think Spencer Rattler's going round 2.
Yeah.
Or Michael Pratt in round 3. And then you really flip the quarterback.
There's not really a way they don't go. Like, they have to. You know what I mean? So.
J.J. McCarthy, Vikings are plus 160, Patriots are plus 370. So I think it's going to be the Vikings.
Yep. Me too.
Your Las Vegas Raiders are the favorite at plus 300. Kind of drop there for what it goes.
I see it.
You're talking into the first round.
Yeah.
I've had him second round weeks. You're talking into the first round.
If he has a good O-line, he's going to be a good player.
You did this a couple of years ago when we did a mock draft, and I had
But here's the thing. I didn't mean to bait and switch you, first of all. But second of all, I think you ended up being right there. I mean, not in the sense that you got the pick right, but fucking Trey Lance sucks. So, but yeah. So, I mean, so did I at the time. So that's fair. But all right, bud. If they don't get him first round, how do they not take him second round? So I see it. Yeah. Yeah, I'll get my final over to you this week. Me too. Hell yeah. Let's do it, man. All right, buddy. Good to see you.